Heyo, welcome everyone to Today in the Scene by Indie Arcade Wave. I'm Joe, your host, and here at In the Scene, we dive into what's happening in the arcade scene. From new indies, arcade developers, and arcade owners and operators, and just generally news in the space. We're here to answer the question, is the arcade dead? And little spoiler on that, it definitely is not. So I'm part of the team that brought Galactic Battleground to the arcade space in 2017 and have been active in the arcade scene ever since. Now, I want to dive into this week's episode a little bit different than some of the past. I know I keep saying that because we keep doing new stuff, which is always fun, but I want to dive into like what a Killer Queen tournament is like. Have you ever been to a Killer Queen tournament? If you have, let us know down below. But this week I want to talk about the Hive City Classic. I went to this a few years ago. It was called Queens Gone Wild back then. It has since rebranded. And this tournament takes place in South Florida, Glitch Bar actually in South Florida. I personally think they're the best indie arcade in the state. Dwight is just a maniac about collecting indie games, and I absolutely love that. Glitch Bar has 10 indie games, and I've got Joe and Kyle with me this week to talk about what it takes to organize an event like this and what they have planned for the first ever Indie City Classic. So, how you guys doing?
Oh, what's up, man?
Hey,
Thanks for
Hey,
having
thanks
us
for
on the
coming
show.
on. Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys on and talk about this. I'm really excited about the Indie City Classic, which I will be coming down for, which is a kind of a side event at the Hive City Classic. Um, but let's just jump into you guys. I haven't had either of you on before, and you guys are part of the Killer Queen scene. So kind of just introduce yourself and let us know how you got into the Killer Queen scene.
Kyle, you gotta go first, man.
I gotta go first. All right. Okay. Well, yeah. Here we go. So, I actually started playing Killer Queen in Charlotte. Recently, just moved from there, and I'm down here in Fort Lauderdale now. Our bar is Glitch. That's where the main cab is.
Kyle was playing what Charlotte Killer Queen for a long, long, long time. And every once in
Yeah.
a while, we'd been playing um, since 2018, and then you guys got your cab win. It was like 20 earlier than that. I feel like you guys
Yeah.
had
We
it
had
like a
ours
couple.
like 2 years before. I've been playing like 5 years
Yeah,
total.
yeah, yeah. So he had a head start on us, but um, in like the national scene, we'd always heard about Kyle because we call him by his nickname, which Shipwash. So we're like, oh man, Kyle Shipwash. He's playing, doing this, he's playing super good. And over time, we would start crossing paths as I started traveling to go to tournaments. So I would start seeing him more often at places and being, okay, what's up? And playing games and just, competing against each other at times too, which doesn't happen as often as you might think in bracket. You think you just play everybody, and sometimes you just don't. You go to a whole tournament just not playing people. But I would play against Kyle, and he came to both of our tournaments before, um, Queens Gone Wild 1 and 2, and over time we were just like kept kind of planting the seed in his brain of move to Florida. It's warmer here. Yeah, come on, we have less pollen. It's gonna be great. Um, and he bit the bullet a little while. Not, like you said, not too recent, not too long ago. And so he's been down. That's been awesome. I myself, like I said, I started playing 2018, and Glitch has evolved many times since then. They've changed their layout, they've changed their building, they've moved businesses once and a whole bunch of things, but the KQ community here in South Florida is super awesome. Like it's grown from like a little like hodgepodge thing of friends that just kind of want to give each other shit, and tap faster and kill each other. And then we grew out of that. Well, most of us did. And then we started to like actually learn how to play the game. And it's like to the point now where we're like more people are traveling, more people are competing, and we've got this whole community, and it's led us to the point where we're doing our fourth really annual tournament. We did two which were branded as Queens Gone Wild. Then we had two that were called Hive City Classic. And now this is Hive City Classic 3, where that's kind of taken over as our main tournament that we usually do in February every year. So that's a little synopsis.
Yeah, I love it. I had so much fun at Queens Gone Wild too, and that was right after. I think that was the year after Bumble Bash 4, which is when I first met Dwight. And
Yep.
I feel like that was the event. Maybe I'm wrong about this. That might have been the event where he just like started collecting indies, basically,
Yeah,
because we
Dwight
had
went to
all.
BB4 and he competed in the tournament
Yep,
for Galactic Battlegrounds. I think they won that tournament, him and
yep. Him
another.
and Joe did.
Yeah, him and Joe. And he's like, oh my god, I gotta get all these games. And I swear, like couple months later, he had all of the games that
Yep.
were at BB4. Armed to Gelatinous was there. Black Emperor was there. I don't know.
Yep.
Switch and Shoot was there.
Switch and Shoot was there. Yeah, Dan was
Switch and
there,
Shoot was
and
there.
then
Okay.
Deathball and Cosmotrons were there too.
So all of those games
Are in Glitch.
are at Glitch now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus more, like you're saying,
Yeah.
we've got 10 of them.
He keeps
it's a lot.
collecting. Let's talk about Hive City Classic. Like, what is Hive City Classic? What is Indy City Classic? And why did you decide to run Indy City Classic? Because this is the first year you're doing it.
Yeah, we haven't done Indy City Classic before. The Hive City Classic just kind of grew out of our normal annual tournament, right? So we always have a tournament around this time in February. Past however many years, minus the pandemic, and we just wanted, we want to do it again and make it bigger and better. We're always trying to grow it, so that's just kind of automatic on itself. But in the meetings that we were having, me, Kyle, and Dwight were thinking, what else can we do to make this tournament just like super dope and just stuff it full of hype and get people really, really excited. And also the idea was, how do we get, because people travel for KQ, so you always know you're going to get people from Dallas and from New York and all these other places that have typically come down to travel at our tournament. But the locals like that live here, that's sometimes a little bit tougher because Killer Queen is not the most pick up and play game. It's simple to get started, but it is pretty intimidating. You have to have other people to kind of show you the ropes a little bit. If you just have a group of buddies and no one knows what they're doing, you're just kind of stare around and probably get bored, go do something else. But so you really have to have that kind of player interaction. So we were kind of struggling to think, what can we do to get more local players involved? They're probably not going to play Killer Queen in the tournament, but like, what else can we do to make this like more, right? So we were thinking, and the idea of just doing side tournaments with other games in the bar came about. That's kind of how it started. Well, let's just do some side tournaments. There's always going to be Deathball and Galactic Battlegrounds, and I think we had just got the Nidhogg cab, and Kyle kicked my ass first time I played it. Kyle. And
got to introduce you to the game.
Right? Yeah. You let me know, and we were playing and kind of thinking in that mindset. And we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we just like made it all about indies? Because at first it was like, let's just do games. Let's do Smash Bros. Let's do Street Fighter. Let's just do competitive games. But then it was like, well, no, let's do indies because like those are the things that are new and exciting and like rotating in and out. Like every arcade bar worth its salt is going to have some version of Street Fighter. They're going to have Galaga. They're going to have the classic arcade games, and they're going to have like the classic, fighting game community. They're going to have the console stuff. You're going to have Mario Kart. They're going to have that, right? But what a lot of them don't have is the secret sauce of the indie games. So like a lot of them don't have Deathball, but Deathball's dope. A lot of them don't have Downwell. Downwell's dope. Like these games that you may not know, Nidhogg, all these things. So we thought, let's put the spotlight on that. I bet we could get more people locally to just like come in and try Switch and Shoot. I bet we could tell people, hey, this game, it's 2-on-2. It's kind of like Galaga, but it's versus. You've played that, right? Like, oh yeah, I know that. Like they'll probably just jump into it because they have some familiarity. It's not so intimidating to get started. So that's where the idea kind of came from. Yeah.
Yeah, and then to add on to that, like, so the bar is going to be open 24 hours the whole weekend.
That's absolutely wild.
So that's why we wanted to have the side tournaments, because we started doing the side tournament idea, and then we're like, well, how are we going to do all of the Killer Queen tournament and also these side tournaments? Are we going to put them side by side, parallel? How are we going to do that? The other thing that we have to kind of plan around is Glitch Bar does get really busy around like 9 p.m. to like 2, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to be able to do much during that time because they're still going to be doing normal operating hours. So we were like, well, let's just do 24 hours and then we'll just kind of like throw in tournaments here and there and kind of really make it a big event. So going off of the indie stuff, we had, Killer Queen is an indie. So let's go ahead and start bringing in some of the other indie sauce, as Messenger puts it.
Sprinkle some sauce on it. Sauce is Kyle's thing. Kyle came up with the word sauce. It was he's got juice, he's got sauce. He just makes words and dabs them in there every once in a while.
Ever since I came here, I've been trying to like brand things so that it's like it's cool and hip and just I don't know. I threw it off the top of my head and it kind of stuck and people ran with it. So
Everybody likes sauce.
it's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have something different, you know. So you're just trying to throw something else on the fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you guys have and how the tournaments work out. I know it's gonna be kind of weird hours on the indie tournaments. Hopefully not too crazy, like 4:30 a.m. But you're right. I mean, I've been in glitch like between that like 10 and 1 a.m. is just like it's packed. I mean, you like can't even really play games. Like it's packed, and that's good to see. I'm glad to see an arcade first that has a thriving business at night as a bar scene to keep everything afloat. Obviously, that's very important to have the income to be able to support everything and to buy all these indies. I mean, Dwight's buying them all. So let's talk about what you're most excited for this year at the Hive City Classic. It's another time. It's your fifth run at having a tournament. I know you guys are a lot more involved with planning it than in previous years. So let's talk about what are you guys really excited for this year?
Excitement, man. There's a lot. There's a lot of things. The 24-hour thing is huge. I think the biggest thing that's exciting for me is going to be kind of the like feedback's probably not the right word, but like there's going to be a level of interaction that guests and attendees are going to have at Hive City Classic because they're going to experience a lot of things that in an environment that are going to be really, really cool. So I think just kind of like feeding off of everyone's else energy and kind of seeing how they react and how they are over the course of those, 3 days basically, from Friday till Sunday, basically 24 hours. So that's kind of what I'm most excited about. There's a lot of people who are coming to the tournament that have never been to one of our tournaments before. We've got some folks coming from 2 states out of the West Coast. No West Coast team has ever come to our. It's just too far, the ticket price, and it just doesn't work out sometimes. But we've got folks coming down. We have a big kind of mixed team that's coming from a bunch of different scenes: New York, Chicago. I think San Fran and DFW and Dallas are all coming in. So that's really exciting to see that. It's got a lot of player pull, and I think
Hmm.
one of the things that we did to kind of change to achieve that this year is we started off by making the Killer Queen Hive City Classic three aspect of things an invitational tournament. So we kind of planned it out. Originally, it was going to be a lower number, and then things kind of blew up. We were able to secure a second cab, and things kind of opened up from there. But originally, it was going to be so many people got invites to build teams to come and compete against Florida teams, and I think it was going to be something like 12 teams total. And when we did that, we ended up getting a lot of folks who were like really serious about building a great team to come and compete. And not only that, but they wanted to build a great team within their scene, a lot of them. So you have a full team from Chattanooga coming and a full team from Charlotte coming and, all these groups that were kind of putting their teams together. So that collection of players coming in to enjoy the tournament in these types of settings that we've put up, we've planned for, and we've, just beat our heads against the wall to put together. That's by far like the most exciting thing to me. Whatever else happens, cool, but they'll be here to experience it, and I'll just be watching them having a good time.
Yeah, and especially coming out of the pandemic, that really kind of put a stop or a complete stop in some places to the game, especially traveling. There was very little, if any, tournaments. So this is kind of like coming out of the pandemic to where there's a point to where there wasn't a Bumble Bash last year. There wasn't a Chicago tournament, a major Chicago tournament. So we're hoping that this can kind of like start opening things back up and like Master Joe was pointing out, having the full scene teams, it's going to be really cool to see how everybody's kind of fared during the times that we weren't able to play, and coming back out and kind of this rebirth of sort of just the competitive travel national scene.
Yeah, I'm excited for everybody to get there. It's going to be really cool to see people that I haven't seen in a very long time. I think the last tournament I went to was in Omaha.
Oh yeah.
6 months, 8 months ago, something like
Yeah.
that. A lot of people from Texas, a couple people from California, some people from Chicago. I don't think too many people from New York, but there were some people from all over that I hadn't seen in years. Seeing all these people that I haven't seen in so long is gonna be really cool. And I'm always curious because the KQ scene, at least when we first started introducing the indies and started bringing Galactic Battleground to shows, it seemed like it was kind of hard to tap into KQ players to get them to try these other games. And I think Bumble Bash 4 was a really big point for a lot of KQ players. They saw all these games in the same place that they could try out, and Nikita and all of them were promoting that. They wanted you to try these other games. So as KQ players, as someone who played KQ and got to know people in another community, Kyle, and moved to be part of that community, what indie games do you guys play when you take a break from KQ?
Me specifically, especially since we have that Nidhogg game now. That one's the one that I go to. There's one that's not going to be in the tournament, but I'll be playing it on the side whenever I'm not playing Killer Queen. It's a party game. It's called Hidden in Plain Sight. And that's on the polycab. We actually have two polycade cabs, one that's 4-player and one that's 2 players. But yeah, Hidden in Plain Sight is really fun. It's pretty simple. It's really fun to teach new people, and then we're always laughing and joking like by the end of it, and to the point that sometimes I'm in tears just from laughing so much from kind of the debauchery of it all. Outside of that one, then right next to our cab is Deathball, and I do like the whole Deathball mechanic. I'm not as good at it as some of the other people are. I'm still kind of learning. But I just like playing those games that are sort of like Killer Queen, Super Smash. That's not really an indie game, but it falls into the same category I'm about to talk about as kind of the platformer sort of spatial awareness, like fighting game.
There was one of those you were playing. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like Roof Brawlers.
Rooftop Battle. I was about to, yeah, completely
Yeah.
slipping line.
Yeah, Kyle was trying to show me that one. It's another one that's on the polycade. Which is interesting what Glitch is kind of doing. Like the there's something to say about the cabs, right? And most of the time, like, yeah, okay, you'll go and you want to get on something. For me, my go-tos were like, I don't know if I'd call it indie. It's probably not, but it was a rhythm game called Jubeat, which is awesome.
That game is so much fun.
Yeah, super, super fun. I'd never seen it outside of like conventions and MagFest up north and whatnot. And then when Glitch had one, I was like, so I would just play it all the time. But bar, people get drunk, they get heavy hands, and so they beat the shit out of it. So it's at the doctor's office right now. But I think Dwight's working on bringing it back. But I definitely like playing Black Emperor. It's not something that I'm really good at either, but like if I see it, it's got a cool mechanic, so I go and I just okay, what can I do? Like anytime I bring some friends over to Glitch and I try to show them, hey, yeah, check this game out, I try to get them to play Black Emperor just because I know they've never played anything like before using the wheel, and it's kind of cool. It reminds me a lot about like the different arcade games that would have different control methods. Like you had off-road with like the actual steering wheels that people would use to get in around the track. You had Rampart, like the old school Rampart with the track ball. Everybody had the track ball, different little ways to control it and the mechanics of game inputs and things like that, which are really cool. So I tend to like that type of thing. I think that's why I like Jubeat so much. It's like a different thing. So when I'm done, joysticking and buttoning, I go find some weird shit to touch and move around, and that's pretty fun for me too.
Yeah, the all control games are something else. Like I spoke with Tomas about Black Emperor, and that was such a cool story. Where he came from the film industry and was like, I want to do something different. Went to school for video games. That was the first game he made when Nikita and Josh found him at a convention, and I believe it was, I don't remember where the convention was. I'm not going to say because I don't remember for sure. But they found it, and immediately he was like, let's go. Let's turn it into a cabinet. So the longboard wheel is sick. Deathball is incredible. Tony is a really cool guy, and he came from the KQ scene, which is cool. I mean, I like that you, Kyle, like drew straight to the fact that like it feels like KQ. Like he was heavily inspired because he loved KQ so much. That's how he wanted to feel like you were in control of the character. So it's really cool that that's kind of what drew you guys to it. And Polycade, I mean, Polycade's awesome.
Polycade's really cool. Like Polycade's got a lot of potential. Just because I think the cost for developers to make cabs is going up with like all the components and everything that goes into it, and you have to make your cab unique. Like each cab looks different. No one wants to make like another, Pac-Man cab.
Right.
So they're getting different and different art and things. But man, to just like ease of access, get your cab in front of an audience at a bar where people are gonna play it, Polycade is like the way. Like it's very
Not
very
even
cool.
not even at a bar. He's in barber shops. He's in apartment buildings. He's in offices.
man.
We've got Galactic Battleground in a couple office spaces. It's a great place for people to kind of relax and wind down while they're at work. Just take a break. But yeah, Tyler's a cool guy, and obviously he's a Bushnell, so there's got to be something with video games there.
There's one other player who's coming in like Tony, uh, Rob for Armed and Gelatinous.
Yep.
This is weird. It's a bit of a weird story. So we invited Seattle, which is the scene that he's part of.
He's
we
in
invited
Portland.
them to come. Oh, Portland.
Yeah.
I always get those guys mixed up. That's fine. They'll come and give me shit about it later. But we invited them to come. I forget who it was. I think it was probably Dylan. We invited some people, and I think Dylan finally took the invite and started building a team. And a guy named Rob was on the team. And then over time, somebody sent me a message. They were like, "Hey, because we had a website, we're like putting everybody's teams down to be like, who's coming? Okay, so they got this person, this person, this person." And someone messaged me and said, "Hey, can you change that guy's name to Hal?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool, nicknames, no problem. All right, Hal, done." Didn't think of anything of it. Then we start having this conversation about the Indy City championships and start talking about the developers and who do we contact. Okay, call Tony. Okay, call Dylan. Call Joe. Talk to Neil and da da da. Oh yeah, and who's Armed and Gelatinous? Rob. Yeah, call Rob. Rob, you okay? And I'm like, hey, I'm just reaching out to everybody. I'm like, hey, so you're the Armed and Gelatinous dev. Awesome. Are you wanting to participate in this thing? And he's like, yeah, I'll be there. It's me. I'm Hal. I was like, oh, you're the guy. Oh, okay, got it. Cool. So, just coming at a person who's, I thought just full on a KQ person, and then ends up, oh, this is the developer of one of those indie games you have at the bar.
Right. Yeah. He moved out there, and I think he's living with Dylan now. So, he's like full on KQ. I actually did an interview with him. He went back to Connecticut to get his car, and he drove cross country and went to like 16 or 17 arcades on his way back to Portland, and played with the KQ scenes, which that'd be such a cool trip. So it's cool that he's gotten so into it. He wanted to play with a whole bunch of different queens from all over the country to figure out how everybody plays and to get better at it. So he really took the initiative on himself to get as good at it as being a queen as he possibly could. And I guess I'm curious about the back end of this. Like, I've run plenty of tournaments myself with Galactic Battleground, and it takes a lot to organize an event like this. So what is it like organizing an event like this, and what are some things that you guys have been doing to make this year better that you think would be overlooked if people didn't hear from you, we did this to make this better?
Cocaine. Just lots and lots of cocaine daily. No, I'm joking.
I'm gonna let you handle this because you've done the ones before. I'm helping. This is my first time helping.
Oddly enough, this is, and Heather reminded me about this. Obviously, I know, but this is actually, I would say, the most I've ever been involved in one of the plannings of our own tournaments here in South Florida. Like the first tournament, we had a player named Deanna who's since moved to New York, who took on, I would say, the brunt of things. I kind of helped with that one, and there were some other people that also kind of did some stuff. But there's always usually one or two people that are really pulling the car. For Queens Gone Wild 2, Heather pulled that one quite a lot.
Yeah, I was talking to her a lot about coming down to that event.
Yeah, she was, just in all the communities, just, ripping and running. And again, kind of like helping this and that, other people helping and this and that, so it's not totally on one person's shoulders, but definitely the brunt. For Hive City 1, that was kind of a weird one. That one we didn't do it in February. We did it was post-pandemic. This was 2021. We did it in the summer. So it's like the very, very, very early beginning of people kind of coming out of the prairie dog hole and peeking. Is it okay? Can things kind of sort of, get back to how it was? And people, we weren't sure if anyone was even going to come, does anyone want to even travel at this time? It's summer 2021, but we got 12 teams and, a lot of participation, obviously from Florida, but, and our kind of brother scene up in Jacksonville too. But people came to that, and it was kind of nice. Okay, but it was small. So we did Hive City Classic 2 in 2022, and that one, same type of deal. Like, I think Joe kind of took the reins of that one, um, and Tori did some really crazy, incredible art for it. And we got like one of our best T-shirts designed. This crazy kind of horror snail. We did like a horror theme. It was cool. Um, but then this one, I mean, it's definitely scaled up, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Way up. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that has gone on for the planning aspect that's insane. I'll kind of speak to some of the parts of it that I guess I kind of did, and then Kyle has a ton of stuff that he's also been doing. So I'll save all those. I'll save all that for you. I think my biggest things were I knew I wanted it to be an invitational, and like kind of getting people on that idea was a little bit tough. There were some learnings that we had to do. There was a lot of stuff we learned about our own scene and our own scenes, kind of like ideas and what they would want to do, and kind of what our responsibility is as scene organizers that aren't elected, that just kind of do things because no one else is going to do them and we have time, I guess, and we care. So that's kind of how it goes sometimes when you're organizing stuff. Just whoever's the most active, and will end up doing things, and that's fine. But it's kind of a vacuum when you're doing it that way. So some of the things we had to get a lot of feedback from people, and go, oh, I didn't know you guys wanted to do this, or you want to do that. Okay, well, okay, okay, and then you have to balance all that out. So we had some town halls. We kind of asked a lot of questions and learned a lot. We made some mistakes, but I think at the end of it, uh, just making sure that like the communication, talking to the right people, talking to some of the other people in the scene, getting their opinions on things, uh, and kind of keeping communication open has been like the biggest thing that we've been working on to keep it together. So I think for any kind of planning for tournaments, it's like make sure your lines of communication are very, very good. They're very, very open, so that way everybody knows what's going on.
Hmm.
It's really tough. Even like we have a website, the website has all the information, but people will still ask you, so when is the tournament again? What's happening? What? He's like, it makes you want to pull your hair out. Just you brand the QR code onto their arm or something. But it's been fun. I will say that it's definitely been something to do. It's been energetic. Um, and we've made a lot of gains as a result of it. Like this tournament's going to be very groundbreaking because there's a lot of firsts,
Hmm.
um, all across the board, and I'll let Kyle get into it because one of those firsts is just
Oh man.
fucking huge, huge.
Yeah. So I guess everybody always says it, but I don't think I've ever done it at this level. But I did bite off more than I could chew, and I think I'm going to be able to go through with it. But ever since I've got here, I've been helping with a lot of their online stuff. So helping build the Discord, getting people into the Discord, setting up QR codes that are on the side of the cab so you can get into the Discord. Master Joe mostly runs the website stuff there, so I let him take all that. But then, like he was kind of alluding to, is one of the things that I've been working on is I've been working with Kevin from what scene is he from?
Kevin's Portland.
Portland. Okay, I know it was out west.
It's okay. He's probably Seattle. I'll get shit for that too.
Is it Seattle? Oh, here we go.
I'm just gonna mix them up intentionally now.
They're sister cities.
They
we
are
kind of
Oregon.
So
Oregon.
yeah. Um, but I've been making an add-on for his plugin to HiveMind. So to back that up a bit, there is now a website, kq@hivemind.com, that collects everyone's stats from the game, and then Kevin has made an interface for OBS that will take those stats, and then it'll show what happened during the game, how much distance you ran on snail, who ran the snail, who got the queen kills, if it was a hat trick or not, so on and so forth. And you can even sign into this. You can sign into HiveMind, and it'll integrate your name into the overlay so that you can see your stats. They associate them, and then it'll save them for later. So that being said, I've been working on a add-on on top of KQ Style, which is the interface, and we're going to try to do some live feeds. So we're going to have a link for some people on the ground and do like a live on site. What do we call it? Live on location.
Live on location, yeah.
live on location, have that also set up in the Discord to where, because I don't know if you've ever been to a Killer Queen tournament, but there was always a photo channel, and we were going to try to make it to where the photo channel, we would have moderators that would select some photos from the photo channel and have those actually come up on screen during the stream. So that's one of the other things we were adding in.
I mean, that sounds like a lot to me. I know there's probably plenty more, and I know we had a meeting with Dylan, my Dylan, about art and merch and a whole bunch of stuff. So I mean, there's gonna be it's a lot this year, and you guys are really good about open communication with getting all the indie devs into like one Discord. We ended up creating a channel on the Indie Arcade Wave Discord so we can talk a little bit easier with more people, because I didn't know about a 10-person limit. We figured that out.
Yeah, who knew there was a 10-person limit on Discord? Yeesh.
Yeah, you can't have direct messages with more than 10 people. I don't know what the hell that is. But yeah, I mean, I think this is all really good. The event's going to be really cool. I'm super excited for it. And it seems like every year it's just growing more and more and more. And these scenes are getting more locked in. And now other scenes are integrating into other scenes to make everything smoother and better. And stats, and like it's crazy how this is growing. It's really cool to watch it, and I'm really happy that it's happening. I'm excited for Hive City Classic too. Let's wrap it up with shout outs, and I guess we just went through the whole podcast without even saying when this is happening. So let people know when it's happening,
make sure they
and things like that. So go ahead, Joe.
Well, so Hive City Classic, this year it's going to be February. The tournament I guess let me put it like this. Hive City Classic 3 and Indy City Championships is going to be happening at Glitch Bar in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, from February 24th to February 26th. It's like kind of a Friday, Sunday deal. For a lot of people, it's going to start sooner than that, but those are kind of the dates. That's when the bar will be open 24 hours from Friday open to Sunday normal close. So that's when you can come. We're kind of putting together the schedule and finalizing everything in terms of when things will be, when the Killer Queen tournament pools will happen, when the knockout rounds will happen, other events, the tournaments for Indy City Championships throughout, which is going to be very cool. Depending on what you want to do, we want to try to spread things out enough so people can play in as many games as they want to or not. So if you want to compete in, a score attack game like Switch and Shoot, for example, we're going to do those kind of as heats. So you'll just, throughout that whole time, there'll be times that there'll be scheduled that you can do, a session, do a heat. There'll be a monitor there to kind of track your score and keep it honest. But you'll just get, 3 heats. We'll take your best score of the 3 heats for the score attack games, and then dedicated times for kind of the head-to-head, PvP type player games, Deathball and Galactic Battlegrounds and so on and so forth. And then we'll kind of just do mini tournaments for that. So it's going to be really, really fun, really exciting. And the 24-hour aspect of it is very cool. The admission for the tournament is super smart. Basically, Glitch Bar's model, if you've never been there, all the games, with the exception of pinball, because pinball is the GOAT, are free to play. So you walk in and you do one of 2 things, and you have access to all the games for the entire night time that you're there. You can either buy a game pass, which is $7. Cool, go right in, do whatever you want to do. Or if you are a drinking adult like me, you can go in there, get a drink at the bar, and then they'll give you a game pass with your purchase of the beverage as well. So it kind of works out. You're gonna go, it's a great bar as well, so you're gonna go get a drink anyway, so you're gonna get that game pass anyway, so you'll go. But what we've done for that particular weekend, like across all 3 of those days, is we're issuing kind of access passes. So for non-competitors in the KQ tournament, because that's kind of a separate thing. If you want to do Indy City Championships, or you just want to come party for the whole weekend with us, you can purchase a $15 24-hour access pass for all 3 days. And it's like a really dope holographic shiny wristband. It's kind of like that cool, not heavy plastic. Won't get wet and rat up like the paper does. So you can get that and just come party with us. It's going to be really, really, really fun, and we're hoping to see a lot of people there.
Yeah. Shout outs. Shout out to the supportive scene here at South Florida. Shout out to Joe, Glitch Bar, Dwight, everybody that's kind of been supportive in me coming to this scene, and then letting me help out and put my talents to whatever use it can be used.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
There's a lot of people. I mean, obviously the creators, the developers, all of you guys. About the games,
Yeah.
got shit to do. So big shout outs to you guys as well. I'm hoping that a lot of people come and just play and enjoy your games and start to see it in a bigger light. There's a lot of cool things that could spin off from this if it goes really well, and I think there's a lot of cool ideas. So definitely looking forward to those types of things too.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like Kyle was saying, just all the people who are coming, all the people in our own scene that have kind of been there and supported and helped us grow to this point. One of the big major milestones of this particular tournament is first time in a tournament we have now not one but two Killer Queen cabs for the Killer Queen tournament, which is a whole thing. Kyle himself had a ton to do with that, just like meeting, phone calls, searching online, being a businessman, negotiating, coming back, telling me and Dwight, and like all that, just was relentless on getting this thing.
That is a adventure and story in itself. I've never bought something like a cab. Like it was, I've never bought a house. I've bought a car before. It was a lot easier than this. This was a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Just tracking one down too was also the other thing. Like trying to find one within our budget, trying to, you know, figure out the path of least resistance was really.
And it's almost here. Like it's
almost here.
It's going to be here by the end of the week. Fingers crossed. Knock on whatever. So
one last thing is, yeah, so this is a used cab, and it hasn't been updated for a really long time. It's been sitting in an office, being played like, during lunch breaks and stuff. So it doesn't have a lot of miles on it, but also it hasn't been updated. So what we're wanting to do is, for the tournament, we want to swap out the hard drive, update it, and then do like what is like a time jump event where we swap the hard drives back, and then you can play the old version of Killer Queen, the one that has corner kills, and you can sit on the magic pixel. And some people are not going to like this, but you can what do they call it, charging up?
Yeah, you can charge up.
That's gonna trigger
All
some
the
people when they come and see this. Oh, the Speed Warriors love that one.
Yeah. All the queens will be mad.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it, and I just want to say thank you guys for coming on here. I'm gonna throw links down in the description so people can check out the event, sign up if they want, buy your tickets. It's winter. If you live up north, then it's cold, and you can go down to Florida, which is really nice. Which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm getting away from the snow and hanging out in Florida. But again, thank you guys. If you're still watching, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us a ton. The wave will grow, and we'll keep riding it out. Come on down to Hive City Classic, and until next time, peace.
Peace out, guys. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.